Welcome to the B-Max Sports Podcast.
Angel, we got 30 minutes for the rest of our lives. 30 minutes for the rest of our lives.
Make sure to subscribe on all platforms.
Let's be great. Let's be great.
Hope you enjoy the show.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with another episode of the podcast. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Tate. I don't give a fuck about anything. I'm just kidding. I'm, of course, my co-host Josh here with me. Josh, how was your day so far, buddy?
Fantastic, dude. Getting the weekend started. Dude, I slept for a very long time yesterday. I slept until like 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Swear to God.
My goodness. What time did you go to sleep last night?
No, I'm talking about...
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Like...
Usually when I sleep a long time, I have trouble going to sleep the next night.
Oh, I went to bed at like 1:30, 2 o'clock last night.
Right after UFC.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Basically.
While we're on the subject of UFC, what do you think about that 252 card?
Honestly, the DC fight was better than I thought it would be. Pretty technical fight. Both of those guys really showed out. If DC wouldn't have got poked in the eye, I don't think he would have got that stumble and fall, the knockdown up against the cage. I think it would have been a lot closer fight. Obviously, I mean, Stipe didn't mean to poke him in the eye. DC didn't mean to poke Stipe in the eye in the first round. But I think it was a game changer for him. So, honestly, he came out and he fought good. I mean, still, even at, I mean, obviously, DC's not in his prime right now. Still an excellent fighter. Stipe is definitely beatable. There's a couple of guys that come to mind when I think of people who could beat him.
Mm-hmm.
So don't look for Stipe to have that belt that much longer. I mean, the dude he's a phenomenal fighter, but I just don't see him having the belt that much longer. Especially if you start seeing guys like John Jones and maybe even Stylebender coming up to heavyweight, because I mean it's possible.
I don't see Stylebender making that jump, but I will. Interesting that you brought that up. On Twitter last night, there was a lot of smoke from John Jones saying he wants to fight Stipe. I think it would be a travesty to deny Francis Ngannou his shot at the title. It's his turn, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
I think you can make a fight for John Jones in the meantime as well. I think Dominic Reyes gave John Jones a pretty good fight last time. I think he's deserving of a rematch.
Well, and I don't think anybody should take that, like you said. I don't think anybody should take it from Ngannou's
turn, man. And I think Ngannou will railroad Stipe. I really do.
Dude, I don't see, and that's one of the guys that I was thinking about was, I don't see Stipe stopping him, because that dude's an absolute monster. When you talk about the man in the alley that you don't want to run up against,
that's Francis Ngannou.
I mean, the dude's an absolute animal.
Yeah, so I like. I think Dana White will do the right thing. They usually do. Yeah. I think that's the next fight for Stipe. He didn't get no injuries or anything. I'm sure he'll want to rest for a couple months. Maybe at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, we'll see that fight. Speaking of upcoming fights, before we get into what happened with Sugar Sean O'Malley, did you see where they finally made it official for Stylebender and Paulo Costa?
I saw that.
Holy shit,
That's
dude.
going to be a banger. That's going to be probably, what is that, September 21st?
It's 26th, I think.
26th.
I'm not something. It's September 20-something. It's approximately a month away.
Yeah. It's going to be, that's going to be the fight to see.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is... There's another fight that I saw that's going to be an extremely good fight.
Well, I mean, they've already made official Gaethje and Khabib for October.
Yeah. Oh, and that's another interesting thing. I think that I saw some UFC news that said that Khabib has come out and said that if Conor fights Poirier and beats him, that he wants him after that. It's going to be really interesting to see Khabib's future because...
well, Gaethje, he's got to beat Gaethje first. That's not no easy task right now. Gaethje's lighting it up.
Yeah,
He's
but
looking
Conor,
better every fight.
Khabib has come out and officially made it official that he would like another fight with Conor, but he said the only way that he's going to fight Conor is if Conor goes through the motions and gets some more fights up. Because I think what gets on Khabib's nerve is that with Conor being the face of the UFC, Conor does think that he should just, every time he comes back, he should have a shot at the title. And that's not how it works.
No, for sure. I agree. Conor comes back, looks phenomenal at 170, and then hasn't fought again since. I mean, he fought, what? It was less than 2 minutes last fight against Cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a quick turnaround for you if you're hungry, if you want to fight. He just, I don't think he's interested in fighting.
Well,
right
and
now.
I mean that's the thing to me is because I always used to, when I saw Conor McGregor get in the ring, I always used to think, okay, he's here for the love of the fight, and that doesn't matter how much money he gets, he's gonna be there for the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've been proven wrong.
Me too.
Because
for sure.
I mean, you think about the man's worth millions upon millions of dollars now, and I just think he enjoys going out, drinking, hanging out with his family, going on these lavish vacations more than he enjoys getting the hell beat out of him. I mean, you can't blame him, but
no, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But me as being a fan and being selfish, I want to see him back in that octagon, dude. He's a monster. He's one of the best in the game still. Let's talk about what happened on the co-main event last night with Sugar Sean O'Malley. He comes out. He's got good movement, looking really sharp, honestly. Landing several leg kicks, landing some combos to the face, and then he gets hurt. I tried to look for some more information this morning when I woke up. I haven't seen what the extent of his injury is. Hopefully, it's nothing. I mean, it looks serious because Sean's a tough dude, and you could tell he was screaming after the fight. Took off in a stretcher. Probably going to be out for a length of time. Shout out to Cheeto Vera. He's a bad dude, but
well, we all knew this was going to be a hard fight for Sean.
Yeah, for sure. It was his toughest test. I would have loved to seen him not get injured and see how that fight played out. Because Cheeto, on the other hand, was making some adjustments to Sean's movement. He didn't look bad either.
Yeah, he
but
did.
Sean, I really think. I mean, it was really early in the fight when Sean got injured, but I feel like he was winning the fight at that time. I mean, it was only like 2 or 3 minutes into the fight, but still, I like to see how that plays out. I really think Sean O'Malley's. He's going to be a superstar in the sport. He's only 25 years old. Hopefully he'll heal up and he'll be back. I really wanted to see him beat Cheeto, and then I wanted to see him beat Cheeto quick because I really selfishly wanted to see him fight Cody Garbrandt in November.
Where do you see him now? That especially if because what it looked like to me whenever he went the first time for an ankle grab, and I think he kind of tweaked it. And then he went for the ankle grab the second time, and it just rolled over. Definitely could be a broken ankle, the way that it looked.
Either a broken ankle, broken foot.
Yeah.
It's probably some pretty significant ligament damage.
Yeah, and so that's going to keep him off of the game for a little while. That's going to keep
at
him
least
out of
the end of the
training.
year, probably.
Yeah, that's going to keep him out of training camps. Obviously, injury is part of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times you see these guys who they're rising stars. They show up, get injured, get out for 6-7 months, maybe even 8 months now. Do you think that's going to slow his progress, or do you think okay?
No. He's very. He reminds me of Conor McGregor when he was coming up. He's very dedicated, very hungry. You could see when he was suspended for the 2 years for the Tatum supplements he was taking.
Yeah.
How much better he was when he came back. He's really dedicated to the game. I don't think an injury is going to slow him down. As to who I'd like to see him fight, run that shit back, Turbo.
Yeah,
run that shit
I think
back.
it needs to be another, because
It's got to be, man. I mean, of course, Cheeto, with him only, I mean, he didn't take much damage at all. Maybe he takes a month or two off, fights again. Regardless, win, lose, or draw, I think the fight after that to make is run it back with Sean. It's only right. That's his first loss. He's going to want to avenge the way he went out, of course. I still think it was a weird stoppage, unless Sean may have been yelling or something. We couldn't hear it.
Well,
he was injured. It was pretty obvious, but the elbow, he got hit with a big elbow.
But
he was covering up.
The leg out of the picture. He got in a good left hook on him, when he first got him on the ground, and
Yeah,
that definitely
yeah.
rocked him. And then after he domed him in the freaking forehead with that elbow,
Mm-hmm.
when the stoppage happened, I was pissed because I was like, dude, that was early. But you got to think, Herb Dean's right there. He's in the action. He knows what's going on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
he's
have to
just
say that
protecting the father.
now that I look back at it, I agree with it because Cheeto was about to start bouncing his head off the canvas. I mean, that's what was going to happen,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
I think he was already in a tremendous amount of pain from his prior injury, and I mean, I don't even know if the way that his foot rolled, if he had already had some kind of injury with his foot from training camp in the first place. But I mean, you never know. I personally enjoy fighters like him, just the unorthodox way he fights. So I'm ready to look and see for him to come back.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I'm hoping that he recovers quickly because he's an exciting fighter to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. I think he'll be fine. Depending, of course, on the extent of his injury, we'll find out soon enough. Did you watch? I know your stream cut out during the
Bro,
Junior
don't
Dos
talk to me.
Santos
Don't
and
talk to
Jair
me.
Rosenstruck
Don't
fight.
talk to me about it.
But
I still haven't seen it. I got to look it up and see if I can pull up at least because I watched up until a certain point and then it cut out.
well,
And I
missed
was
it pretty good.
frantically running around my house trying to
It
figure
was
out
a good
how
fight, dude. They were in there throwing.
Yeah.
Junior Dos Santos is an exciting fighter, no matter his
Yeah.
age. But Jair Rosenstruck, or whatever, I can't pronounce his name. That's just what I call him.
I just call him Rosenstruck because his first name was.
It's Jair. I just call him Jair because it's like short. Anyway, you guys know who I'm talking about. What a bounce back fight. Gets pretty much demolished by Francis Ngannou his last time in the octagon. Bounces back, beats a legend in the top 5. Now he's looking to fight up again. We'll see who he gets. I think he's going to want to fight again. He's not getting a title shot right
No.
away. He's 1-1 in his last 2 fights. So if he wins this next one, I could see him possibly getting a shot at the title. We'll see what happens with the John Jones, Francis Ngannou situation. That's going to have a lot to do with where Rosenstruck goes next. So,
Well, I mean, even before that, I think that Rosenstruck needs at least one more really, really good fight before he even has a shot. Because obviously, you've seen what Francis did to him last time. I think that definitely puts a stall on anything happening for him, like big time fight. Now, I mean, he might get a moneymaker fight.
he should get another person in the top 5.
Yeah. So
We'll see who it is.
we'll
I
see
don't
where
know.
he
I don't
goes.
know.
It's going to be. He's a good fighter, and
Oh,
I
yeah,
think a
he's
lot
a
of people
savage.
I think a lot of people were sleeping on him after the Ngannou fight. But you got to realize who Francis Ngannou is.
I actually picked Jair to win that fight. I think I did. We went through the picks. I know I picked Sugar Sean O'Malley, so I missed that one. I'm pretty sure I picked Jair and I picked DC. So I missed 2 out of 3.
I think.
Let's look at the heavyweight division.
Did I go with Rosenstruck or did I go with Jair? I can't remember. I know I picked Stipe. I know I picked Sugar Sean, so I missed Sugar Sean. Got Stipe, and then I can't remember.
I'm looking. All right. Here's the heavyweight division. Let's see you got Cormier. They haven't updated. Maybe Curtis Blades or Derek Lewis would be a good fight for him. Either one of those guys will be a good fight. Curtis Blades, I don't like him as much as I used to. He's bored me a couple times in his last 2 outings, so we'll see who he gets next. All right, let's move on from UFC. You said you had an array of topics for us to talk about today. Let's jump straight into the shit.
Dude,
Head first.
I've been stewing all week.
Yeah,
I've been
well, I
sitting
was
here.
I had a trip to Tennessee. I really do not like traveling, but I honestly enjoyed it. I rode up. We went to a little town just outside of Knoxville. So I was up there in volunteer country. What a shithole that is. I'm just kidding.
Dude, honestly-
No, I'm just kidding. It's beautiful up there, dude.
I was
honestly.
about to say, I've been to most all of the southern states. I've been to some. I think the farthest out west I've been was New Mexico. I've never really been to any of the northern states, but Tennessee is a beautiful place.
Oh, man,
it's one of
dude.
the most beautiful places in the South to me, and
It is. It's God's country
yeah,
for sure.
exactly. And I mean, we kind of are used to this like bland in Georgia. It's just bland land, pine trees every now here and there, and I mean, once you get up there, you really start looking at like a whole different kind of scenery, different kind of geography, and it's good to get out of the state and see some stuff like that every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great time. So on Wednesday, we traveled up to Knoxville. We spent we spent all of Wednesday night. Thursday, we stayed in Knoxville. We went to this place that Matt Bills Dies or whatever. And then we drove to Nashville. About a 2-hour drive from the little town we were in. Nashville is on another level, brother. I want to go there one day when...
Have you ever been just
No.
like this? Dude, I had a fantastic... We went for my buddy and your friend too, Cody Self, and his bachelor party before he got married. And that was the first time I'd been, and I went with a group of my friends. We've been friends for a while, and we had a blast. I mean, it was...
Man,
It's so cool down there.
only 25% of the stuff was open, but we were able to go to like this little rooftop bar. I fell in love with some girl that was up there singing. She was
Facts.
had some chords on her, buddy.
Yeah, and dude, I mean, you don't realize how many people are actually in there. They always talk about how in country songs they're talking about we go to Nashville and try to make it. There's like that's not just them singing about Nashville.
No.
There's
And
like legit people there who are legitimately good singers. I mean,
Oh,
there was
dude,
one
they
after,
were fantastic.
one after the other. These people could have been professionals when we were going in them bars. I mean, extremely talented individuals.
Yeah, I'm thinking about taking my talents to Nashville.
Facts.
I can sing really good, guys. I'm just fucking with you. I'm terrible.
Taking the podcast to Nashville. Everybody
Dude,
get bent.
get people I fucked.
Yeah.
Nashville's a great place.
And I mean, we went. There's a bunch of stuff that I wanted to, because especially like when you go down Music Row and then like the Johnny Cash Museum.
That's
things
where
like
we
that.
went.
That's
We
where-
didn't go in it, but that's where we were downtown.
I want to go to the because I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan. We
I
didn't
like
have
Johnny
time.
Cash.
We didn't have time to go because we were too busy recovering during the day to go and.
I can only imagine, brother.
Late nights. It was a great weekend. Nashville is a fantastic place.
It's beautiful,
I
too.
can't wait to go back again.
A lot of nice scenery.
Yeah.
And by nice scenery, I mean good looking women there.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Sure.
So, speaking of weddings, you were talking about a bachelor party. Shout out to my buddy AJ Powell and Carly. Got married yesterday. I was in the wedding, scared to death. I hate getting up in front of people. I can babble on this shit all day, on a podcast all day, but as soon as we get up in front of people, I'm done for, buddy.
Yeah.
So I was stressed out, but it ended up being a beautiful wedding. Congrats to you guys. We wish you here at the Tate and Josh in the Morning podcast many years of
long
happiness.
Years of happiness.
All right, so now with all our bullshit done, let's jump into what Josh has for us.
First thing I want, there's been a bunch of, I know some of you guys are about to talk politics, but you're going to have to bear with me because it's me and Tate's podcast, so you have to listen to us. California government recently banned any magazines over 10 rounds. The federal court reviewed it, deemed it unconstitutional. I talked about it. I'm not going to really go that deep into it. I just wanted to talk about how important the Constitution is, because this is what shows us the wisdom of our forefathers. And what's crazy to me is they knew that there was, I mean, they came from, I wouldn't say necessarily a tyrannical government, but a government who had a hold on their people and they didn't like it that much. So, I mean, it shows the wisdom of those guys where they could look into the future and they knew it was going to happen. And so, I mean, that's about all I have to say about that. I just wanted to touch on it.
Naturally, I think when you give somebody power, they want to see how far they can go. So I think that's only natural for them to ensure some checks and balances to make sure no one person can run our fucking country into the ground.
Yeah.
So that very smart by our forefathers. They, of course, they learned from experience with the United Kingdom. But as far as 10-round magazine, anything over 10-round magazines, I think that's a little absurd. Like you said, it's unconstitutional, and I'm glad the right thing was done. So,
well, and I think that a lot of this has been brought to light whenever you see the recent rioting and protest. People like our Democratic nominee has come out and said, you don't need AR-15 with 30 rounds. You can just get a shotgun out. And we've seen what massive groups can do. We've seen it with our own eyes. I heard somebody say it's. Are you going to listen with your eyes or listen to what other people are telling you? I don't think that was the exact verbiage there, but it's something like that. And it was just, it makes me excited for the state of California because I know there's a lot of people out there that, especially within the wake of coronavirus, the wake of the riots, their gun sales in the state of California have gone up like something by like 800%.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping a lot of people are going to wake up, and at least even if they don't change their mind fully about guns, but at least if they have a gun now, they go out, they get educated about them, know more about them, and I mean that could help us out in the long run. Even if they don't fully agree with me, I mean I think you ought to be able to have a freaking RPG and be running around doing whatever you want to. But I mean they're obviously not going to agree with it, but at least it'll make us all open up a conversation, maybe.
Yeah. More education is
it never
always
hurts.
Good, right? 100%. I agree with that.
The second thing I wanted to talk about was, have you heard the news about the Cannon? And I know I'm going to screw up his last name.
Yes.
It's like Hinant.
Yeah.
5-year-old boy biking in his front yard.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard about it.
A neighbor comes across, shoots him, walks away.
So what I've heard a couple different stories. Obviously, the young man lost his life. Travesty, and tragedy. Yes, both actually. I've heard that he was in his yard when he got shot, or he was in the neighbor's yard when he got shot. Regardless, doesn't fucking matter to me. Do you know the actual story? Then
the story that I've seen on what was barely covered on national news was that the boy obviously lived in some kind of cul-de-sac neighborhood or something, some sort of, the houses were close together. He rode his bicycle in his neighbor's yard. Let's keep in mind, this isn't a 15-year-old, this isn't an 18-year-old, this is a 5-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
He rode his bicycle in his neighbor's yard. The neighbor walks across the street and shoots and kills him in front of his sisters.
It's fucking terrible.
And here's what pisses me off, is because it took a whole day for even Fox News to pick this up and run with the story and make it national news.
Yeah,
it took a whole 3 to 4 days for CNN to say 200 words about it, and they haven't said a word about it since. If the roles would have been reversed, this would have been national news. There would have been people burning down targets. There would have been, and that's not my point. My point is the way that the situation was treated. The way that the media treated this. And I mean, that was on conservative outlets, that's on mainstream media, all of them. All of them treated like this. And what really hurt me and just showed me absolutely how divided we are is some of the comments that I was reading on Facebook and on some of these, like the big posts where people were posting it. And there were people posting on there talking about, I'm glad it's one of them this time instead of us. And it's not unifying. I mean, it's just not. And I think I don't want to blame any side of the spectrum. There's no sides to blame. I fully blame the media for pitting us against each other. And I think that's going to be our downfall right now. And the guy who killed him has obviously been arrested. And I saw somebody post on one of my friend's comments, and he said he was arguing that the George Floyd situation was worse and that it shouldn't even be compared to each other. And he actually said, but shit, y'all are using his life to go against Black Lives Matter, and people are comparing it to like George Floyd. It's not anywhere near the same thing, and it's fucking not. Okay, it's not the same thing. Do you know why it's not the same thing? To me, in my opinion, it's not the same thing.
Premeditated murder.
Because number one, this was a 5-year-old. This 5-year-old had never once had the opportunity to make the decision to become a good man. He didn't have the opportunity to make the decision to become a good teenager. The boy never made it to his 6th birthday, and you're sitting here comparing a death of a convicted felon, a man who resisted arrest, a man who had committed a crime to get the police. It wasn't like they just rolled up on him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not condoning the way he was killed. I wish the circumstances were different. But yeah, it's not comparable. It's not comparable at all because George Floyd chose the life that he took. It's like if you're a scuba diver and your job is to go and film sharks, it is a occupational hazard that one day you might be killed by a shark. It's the same thing with thugs. One day there's going to be it's going to be an occupational hazard that if you live that life of crime that you might show up to the police. Yes, there needs to be police reform.
Oh yeah, but
it's an occupational hazard that you might come up to a police officer that you know what is not the best person.
Mm-hmm.
That is not.
Well, you're
hazard.
dealing with people that are not the best people on a daily basis. If it's not a cop, it could be another gang member. It could be another drug dealer over turf wars. When you take on a job, when you choose that as your occupational life of crime, you know what comes along with it. And when my thing is when another gang member kills another gang member, they chalk it up to the streets.
Yeah.
But if a cop, all right,
it's not even about cops.
Right.
It's not even about.
That's what I was going to say
crime.
too.
What it is about is that we are comparing a 5-year-old who has his life has ended. There is no way. I don't care if he's black, white, yellow, purple, colored, and rainbow. Mm-hmm. This kid's life was ended, and we are so absolutely divided right now because of the mainstream media that we can't all care. And I don't know at this point if I see a way for us to come back from it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is there a way that we can become united again? I think there is, but I can't tell you it because it's so. We're at a point right now that people are condoning the murder of a 5-year-old, and that there were people actually condoning the murder of George Floyd. You don't have to pick a side here. You can be against both of them.
It comes on both spectrums.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And
you can be mad at both of them. You don't have to pick a side. You know what I mean?
I made the comment in one of the last podcasts where we were talking about 9/11 and how everybody, even if it was just for a couple months, everyone was united. We had one goal. We were all Americans. I don't see it happening in the future. I just don't.
I think it's a very big hill to climb. I will agree with you on that. I don't see a way either. We're at a point where people are being forced. You're not even being forced. The media makes you feel like you're forced to pick a side here, and there's only one side that I want to choose, and that's being right.
Yeah. Right
from wrong. Both of them were wrong. You can be mad at both. You don't have to pick a side here, guys. Don't let the media fucking brainwash you. They've got a stranglehold on America right now and have us divided because we're weak when we're divided.
And it really is a stranglehold.
Yeah.
Because even though I don't listen to these guys, I don't watch mainstream media, but I'm still on Facebook, I'm still on Twitter. I see the stuff that they put out. And honestly, it makes me more angry just looking at the stuff they put out.
Well, if you look at the headlines, the way the articles are titled, some people don't even read the fucking articles. They're just jumping on people because of a headline. They're not even reading the story. So I can just tell by reading the headlines, these guys want to divide us. That's how they're making their money. They want to make their money, obviously. They're a company. They're there to make a profit, but I think at some point you jeopardize or sacrifice integrity for money. That's where I draw the line. I'm not doing that.
And what makes me the maddest is just because I see, like I said, I was looking at the comments and I see these comments, and these comments are talking about, and this comes from every race. It comes from every walk of life.
Republicans, Democrats.
These people want to justify these kids' death because of something totally unrelated to this kid. This kid had nothing to do with anything that happened to George Floyd. But there's literal comments on there. And these people, this kid had a family. He had a mother. He had a sister who's probably going to have to go through years of therapy because she saw her brother's brains blown out on his sidewalk because he rode a bike in somebody's yard. And it immortally pisses me off that we can't all sit here and agree that a 5-year-old's death is a tragedy.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you feel, honestly, you do. If you watch the media and you read these articles, you feel like you're pressure to pick one side or another
Yeah.
when you don't have to.
Yeah.
You can do it on a case by case basis. You don't have to be one side or the other. You don't have to be Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter. You can just use a case by case basis. Go with what your heart feels. You know the murder of a 5-year-old is wrong. You know that a cop killing an unarmed citizen of the United States is wrong. If it, there's certain points where you can.
There's nothing you can do.
Right, there's nothing you can do. But you don't have to. You can be on the fence. You don't have to pick a side. Fuck picking a side. I use a case by case basis.
Yeah. And I think that's what we need to do as Americans.
I dive into some deep videos on YouTube, and I probably shouldn't, but I've watched officer-involved shooting compilations, and it depends. You can ask the people that watch them with me. I'll be like, "Damn, that was a terrible shoot. Why did he shoot? What the fuck was he thinking?" And then sometimes, obviously, it's either the cop or the criminal, and I'm always going to side with the cop if it comes down to a life threatening situation. But I'm not all for the cops.
Well, it's not team cops or team.
Yeah, it's
criminal.
team
It's
American citizens. to
Was
me.
this right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
there's people wrong on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I think because I watched the leaked footage from the body cam, George Floyd was being extremely difficult to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And I just there's points where you can be pro not supporting criminals and pro not wanting cops to stand on somebody's neck for 9 minutes.
Well, you
And-
have a
and you
perfect
can
definition
be.
of it right here. That's me. I'm not
can.
for criminals breaking the law. I love law-abiding citizens. I also don't like cops that abuse authority, which there are some for sure, and that's in every profession. When it comes to police reform, it's a really tough battle because it's hard to pick out those bad apples because they may not have started out as bad apples, and they're only reviewed most of the time. I don't know about the state of Georgia, but several states don't have a yearly where you sit down with a psychologist and you go over how you're doing mentally. And that's a big problem. I think maybe every 6 months or every year you should have to sit down and maybe there's some red flags. These people are very well educated in how the mind works. I think we could weed out a couple of these bad apples and stop some of the bad cops. There are some,
And
for sure.
the hard thing to do about it now is because I think I heard the other day that Georgia State Patrol is looking to fill 400 jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
especially in today's climate where they're so short staffed.
how many people are going to want to be cops
Yeah,
right now?
Nobody, and that's the
I
problem.
know.
Can you take this time to do the proper training? Can you take this
not-
time to do psych evals whenever it's kind of in the same situation that we are at work? Is that we're running so thin right now that we don't have time to. We can't
Right.
afford to take somebody off of a machine, just like the police departments can't afford to take somebody out of a squad car for a day or 2 days or 3 days.
Right.
I mean, they just can't do it.
It's a very tough situation when you speak on police reform and how it needs to go about. There's no 100% right way that's going to solve all the problems. It's just not going to happen. There are some great steps we could take, though, I feel like. But I feel like we talk about this every
Yeah.
podcast. They're probably tired of hearing us fucking talk about
What
police
did
reform.
did you see Joe Biden's VP pick?
Yeah, I think it's ironic. I don't get big into politics, but I do. This one really struck me as ironic. Didn't she come out and say that she was talking mad shit about him, right?
So there's a couple of different reasons why I think this is a really weird pick for Joe Biden, and also what leads me to believe my theory about this whole situation and why it was done.
I think I know why it was done.
Kamala Harris had come out when Joe Biden had the sexual assault accusers, and she said that she believed those women basically trashed Biden. I mean, made him out to be a serial sexual harasser, which I believe he is. Made him out to be a rapist, basically.
Yeah.
And she's wholeheartedly believed all these women. And if you believe that, you believe that Joe Biden is a bad man. And this
how
was
can you possibly
this was
run
6,
with him?
7 months ago.
Yeah, it
And
was.
so this to me just shows how willing these people are to give up their morals for power.
so,
And because she's up here, I mean, now has not said one word about it.
but it's coming. If they do the debates, Trump and his team are going to fucking railroad that.
And they're going to have to. And
Well, I think we deserve, as people deserve
an
answers
answer, yeah.
for sure.
And-
So why do you think he picked her as a running mate? What are yours? I mean,
Well,
we can only speculate,
we gotta
but
go.
I mean,
I have to go into one more thing before we
okay,
get there.
let's do that. Then.
Kamala Harris, as you know, was she was a prosecutor in her former life before she became the
Mm-hmm.
What is interesting to me now is because Joe Biden is, I mean, obviously one of the main things we have right now that is going to be a big issue in our election debates is going to be, number one, police reform, number two, race relations. And Kamala Harris is notorious for, number one, putting people away for very
Marijuana,
small
right.
amounts of marijuana.
Yeah.
Number two, hiding DNA. It's been recorded that she has gone out of her way to stop DNA evidence to make a conviction. And I mean, these are people who were wrongfully.
Jail.
A lot of these were wrongfully jailed because of Kamala Harris. And if we wanted to, I mean, I know we just got up, but if we want to talk about police reform and the reform in the criminal justice system, this is not the way we want to go. So that's what doesn't make sense to me.
That's tough, buddy.
And she prosecute I mean, it doesn't matter if you had an ounce. It doesn't matter what you had. It doesn't matter if you just had a little blizzy sitting in the cup holder or something. She would prosecute to the fullest extent of the law.
Right. You know what? You know a comment I seen that really bothered me.
Yeah.
I think it was CNN shared the nomination of Kamala Harris, and there was a bunch of people, even Democrats, were baffled at the pick. But one guy, I don't even know who. I didn't know him, of course. It was on one of those big CNN posts on Facebook. Said people can change over time. Yet we look at Donald Trump's past, several, the grabber by the pussy, the shit like that.
And
Just
they
continue
refuse to say that. I mean,
and he can't. So only she can change.
Yeah.
Donald Trump can't change.
Yeah. And
I think it's a double standard, but it goes on both sides, like we talked about earlier.
well, and it's
It's sad that we just can't forget somebody's past and go on the person they are now.
yeah. And like I said, Kamala Harris is now that we've gotten past the Tulsi Gabbard, which I'm not a huge fan of because she is a Democrat. If we were to have, I knew for a fact that we were going to have our next president as a Democrat, she wouldn't have been a bad one. I could have lived with it.
Mm-hmm.
And she absolutely destroyed Kamala in the primary debates. It was, I mean,
Is that why she dropped out?
Yes, and
She was
that's
getting
also
beat pretty handily.
yeah. I mean, and she was absolutely getting railroaded, and she was the first primary candidate to drop out because I think the DNC had about 21 people, and she was one of the first, if not the first, one of the first to drop out and just be going out of the picture.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever she started taking shots at Biden. That's whenever she started. So it was interesting to me to see that the DNC, because do not make the mistake thinking Joe Biden made this pick. He did not.
No,
It's interesting to see the DNC pick somebody. And, I mean, whenever Bernie Sanders was high in the poll, everybody said there's no way. I've called it since the beginning. Joe Biden had like 5% approval rating when they were going into this. And I told him, I was like, it's going to be Joe Biden. My theory is what's going to happen is the DNC wanted Kamala Harris because they know that she's willing to do anything, she's willing to say anything for the DNC. They will put it on a teleprompter, she will say it, she's not afraid to say it. She's not the moderate they say she is. What's going to happen if they win? Joe Biden will become president of the United States, and I would say 5 to 7 months into his first term, he's going to come out and say that he was not aware that the dementia was as bad as it is, and for the good of the American people here, he is stepping down. And this has been the plan the whole time, in my opinion, is because they knew that with Kamala Harris's politics, with her past as a prosecutor, with her father's past as a slave owner, that she wouldn't get picked. They did not want Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders' agenda is too clear. And that's what the Democrats have done the past 50, 60 to 100 years is their agenda is never clear. They don't tell you what they're really going to do until you get into it. It's the same thing with Obamacare. When Nancy Pelosi said, somebody asked them, what is this going to do for us? And she said, well, we're going to have to pass it so we can delve into it. That's ridiculous. If you're going to pass something, you need to tell the American people exactly what they're getting. But that's the thing that concerns me with Kamala Harris is because she is one of these long-time deep state people. And it also concerns me that President Trump has been making leaps and bounds in prison reform. If you don't know, go look it up. He's been working with Kim Kardashian West on getting a lot of unjust life sentences. Especially like prolonged sentences and things like that. Kim has been searching at it, and it made me have more respect for her. Because she's not just some girl who is an Instagram influencer or somebody that's just famous because of her sex.
Rex.
Yeah, she's actually doing something with her fame.
Yeah,
and I think that should bring people together. I mean, to me, that's more unifying than any of this other stuff. Is that you're working with the President of the United States, who people assume that he does not care about things like this, but yet he's getting it done with the help of someone who really does care about prison reform. And that's what pisses me off about people like Colin Kaepernick is because he sits here and he bitches about it and he does nothing. You have somebody like Kim Kardashian who really does feel a genuine concern for what's going on and she makes things happen. So it's a good thing to see, but I think a lot of this stuff, if Biden and Harris win, it's going to be reversed. Because their sole agenda for the next 4 years that they do is unraveling what President Trump has done.
Yeah. So, I will agree with that. So, hopefully, America doesn't buy into the bullshit. I mean, if you just casually look into Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, in my opinion, they're fucking unelectable. Like, the Democratic National Convention, I think that's what DNC stands for, right? Could have picked much better candidates, but there's something fishy when these guys are the people that you pick to run against Donald Trump. And I think you made some great points. I can agree with all those. It all makes sense. Anybody with common sense can see that makes sense. Even if you're not very political like me, I don't get into politics too much. I do research on the candidates, not necessarily on a party basis, but just on a personal level. Get to know them, and then I make my decision. More times than not, it is Republican that I end up voting, or since I've been able to vote for 10 years. Most of the time, I do end up on the right side, but that's because in my opinion, there's some shady shit going on the left side, especially this year. I think this year is crucial for us as Americans to make sure we elect the people that actually have our best interest in mind and aren't out to push an agenda that benefits them.
Have you seen the recent Q news? I know a lot of you.
No, I haven't.
A lot of you, if you don't know, because I haven't. I mean, I'm deeply.
Q's kind of like anonymous, right?
Yeah,
right. Because we talked about it one time.
Into politics, but Q wasn't really on my radar until we had Jackson Cochran on, and that guy's balls deep in it. I mean,
I seen him tweeting about it yesterday.
He's legit. He's in it, dude. And I kind of talked to him, and he said he doesn't know. I really like for him to do some more research on it, and then hit us back up, and we might do a pod about it if he wants to.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
There is rumor that JFK Jr. faked his death in that plane crash, and himself, his wife, and whoever, was it his daughter that got supposedly killed?
I have no idea. It was so long ago.
It was in 1998, I believe, or 1990.
I do remember the day.
So they
never found his plane, or did they? I don't fucking remember.
I don't know. But anyway, there is rumor that he is Q, and that he's been hiding and laying in wait until the time of a rival for what he wants to do.
Oh fuck!
There's also been
no, I haven't heard that. That's
there's
fucking
also been
wild.
a video that's come out that some of the most powerful generals in the United States military, before Barack Obama was out of office in his second term, came to President Trump and said that they were actually trying to push Barack Obama out of office. President Trump, well, then Citizen Trump, told them to just let it roll its course, and that he would run for president if they would support him. Trump has not neither confirmed nor denied this. I don't even really know if it's on his radar that this video has come out. We're looking to see some interesting times right now.
Bro, if
and
JFK
people,
Jr. is alive, that's fucking wild.
Imagine JFK if Trump holds a rally and then all of a sudden JFK Jr. walks up onto the stage and he's been alive for the past 20 years. And I know a lot of you aren't interested, but dude,
I'm interested.
I'm super...
That's fucking wild.
I'm super into politics. I'm super into not necessarily conspiracy theories, more of like political conspiracy theories. Like the 9/11 was a inside job thing, had never really interested me. Things like that. What interests me is how the deep state works. Political conspiracies about who really is running Washington, who really runs this country.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of you don't want to hear it, but I mean, dude, when election season comes up, this is like my Super Bowl, dude. Like it makes. Never mind, I'm not gonna say that.
I know what you're about to say. Make sure pickers stick out.
Yeah, dude, I get so freaking thrilled, dude. I mean, when I go home from work, this is all I do.
So are you still happy with your purchase of the MacBook Air?
Oh yeah,
dude, it's fucking a great computer, right?
It
makes it easier to look up information than looking on that little screen on your phone.
Yeah, I use it so much.
I told you would.
I told Tate, he was like, dude, you gotta buy you a computer. You gotta buy a computer, because this is when we were running solely off
offline, yeah,
off Zencastr, I think what it was.
Zencastr's the name, yeah.
And so Tate, I was borrowing a computer from him because he's a great friend, and he let me do my thing. I've never owned a computer in my life. Didn't ever really need one.
Now you're never going back.
Didn't know I needed one.
Right.
I do. Yeah. I use this computer every day. It was definitely worth $1,000 I paid for it. It's fantastic,
dude. They're so good.
And it took me a little while to get used to the format of the MacBooks.
Yeah, right.
And I'm still learning a lot of stuff on it. But I mean, as far as simplicity goes, once you start figuring it out, it's just like it flows well.
Well, with you having an iPhone, that certainly helps. Yeah. iPhones are... I used to be Team Android, guys. I've been baptized by the mighty Street Jesus, Jorge Masvidal. And I am back. I love my iPhone.
Dude, they flow so well. I mean...
yeah, and in my opinion, I really like the iMessage. I really like the FaceTime.
Yeah.
I like the quality of the apps they have on there.
Well, and I mean,
the updates are always good. And then it hooks up to my laptop. Yeah. Dude, it's
AirDrop,
fucking amazing.
iMessage is two of the biggest things, because
Mac needs to come out with a gaming console.
Yeah.
I'd fucking buy it. 100%.
It would be really cool. But yeah, I'm extreme. What I really wish I would have done, I wish I wouldn't have cheated out and bought the Air. I wish I would have just went ahead and spent the $1,300 and got the Pro.
That's what I got, but they're not that much different.
Well,
they're both actually better in their own sense.
Yeah.
The Air is more geared for like your college people that are going to school, taking online courses, and the Pro is for people that are like editing videos. Yeah, even some smaller games run good on it. But they basically do the same thing. I'll be honest with you. My sister has the Air.
They said the newer Air was better than the last one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I really like the flow of the keyboard.
Yeah, your keyboard's way better than mine.
Eventually, the reason I say that is because I kind of want to as well, because I love podcasting. This really is like a hobby of mine. Like
dude, I'll be honest.
I enjoy it so much.
Earlier, I was going to eat or going to pick up food, and Josh was here. I was like, I really don't feel like recording today. But once I got in here and fucking got on the mic, it was over. I fucking love this shit.
It's something that it really is. It's a hobby of mine now, and I know I bore y'all with my political stuff. So eventually, I would like to also start a solo cast where it was just me talking about politics, and it might be once a week, it might be twice a week, because I get so pissed off during the week. I really think I really think I need to do it just for my dad, because I will be so mad that I call my dad and absolutely wring his ears for 45 minutes to an hour about how pissed off I am. And I think that, I mean, if I could just go into a mic and record and tell people how I think about stuff and what I think is going good in this country, what I think is going bad, number one, it'll stop me from ranting at y'all guys on this podcast.
Because it's very informative to me.
Well, and I mean, there's some people, a lot of people go to podcasts to get away from stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know a lot of people are sick of hearing about it, but also this is really a current events podcast. We talk about current events.
We talk about stuff that's going on.
We talk about stuff we want to talk about.
Yeah, and of course we get the occasional guest on, and they fucking have lit it up. Every guest we've had has been fantastic. So,
but that's what it's in the works. I really don't do. I can't thank Tate enough, because y'all don't realize about how much nothing I do for this podcast except for show up. So I'm going to get with Tate eventually, and we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk to him about what I need to do to go about it, and how we're going to set a studio up soon. And hopefully I can get it rolling. But I mean, it's something I'm really excited about.
To be honest, you could just come over here and record.
That I've thought about for a while is that I want to start, and obviously we have all the setup. So
yeah, you just come over here and record. I'll put on the headphones and do your audio flow, and I'll record it for you and edit it for you. No problem.
But yeah, it's something I want to do. Obviously, I don't. That's what I wanted to talk to Tate about, is if I could do editing on this computer, but I just don't know, because I don't know much about technology.
Yeah, no doubt you can.
But that's something that I'm looking forward to. I know there's a couple people who reach out to me that talk about that we talk politics because they listen to this podcast and they want to get my opinion. I get opinions from them, so it's something that I'm looking into.
Mm-hmm. It'll be super easy. You just let me know when you want to do it. We'll make it happen. Like I said, I can sit over here just with the headphones on, unplug the mic, and do your audio. Make sure you're not peaking or anything like that. We'll be good to go. And I'll even, if you want to edit yourself, if you want to start playing around with that, it's really easy.
Well, it's something, I mean, not even necessarily that I care to do, but it's something that I think if the more we get into podcasting, the more I need to learn about it. Because eventually, I mean, there's going to be days that if I want to do a solo cast,
you can do it by yourself.
I can do it by myself, and I mean, you're tied up, so
that's not hard.
It's something that I've been looking into. It's actually something that I was looking into before me and Tate started this podcast.
Yeah, he's actually the one that got me started doing the podcast, honestly.
And before we started doing it, I've always wanted to do one, and it's just once I started doing the podcast with Tate, it really is. It's just so much fun. I have such a great time doing this stuff.
Yeah, it is fun. All right, you got anything else you want to talk about?
Nah.
We've gone for almost an hour, dude.
I'm good, dude.
All right.
Peace out, homies.
Well,
have a great week.
We appreciate y'all tuning in. This will be released Monday morning, 5 a.m. Hope you attack your week. Make sure to do something positive in your life. Stay out of trouble, of course, you fucking Neanderthals. And let's attack the week, BMAC style. All right. We appreciate y'all. Like and subscribe on all platforms. Peace.
Holla.
Thanks for tuning into the BMAC Sports Podcast.
40, 1, Lindsey, 25, 20, 50, 10, 5, Lindsey, stop.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Listen, my whole family loves it, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
We'll see you next week.
Go rock this thing, huh? Love you, man. Go get it.